So speaking of mad shit, I guess as a two-piece band, how does that work for you guys getting along?
It's easy. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's a lot more personal. Like, I don't know. There's not, oh, I heard whatever, Brad, the bassist, and people like forming cliques within the band, and there's like a weird power dynamic. I don't know. It's just, me and Alli have to sort it out. And if we don't, there's only two people and it's all downhill.
Yep. Yeah, I think it makes it easier to work together and schedule practices, and like he said, no weird like side clicks or power dynamics, which maybe should be like our next thing that we're working on, is forming side clicks and power dynamics.
Ooh, yeah.
Within our two-piece.
Within the two-piece band.
Yeah, well, you guys have already kept out the bass players, and the bass players are the biggest trouble in the first place. So keep those bass players out.
Oh, I know.
Fuck that.
We were thinking about making like a T-shirt that says, "No, you can't be our bassist" or something, because we've got a couple offers.
I would wear that shirt.
That's right.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
and it's like one of those things where the bass players, they'll be like, "Oh, I see you guys need me." No, fuck you.
Yeah, right. You guys just seem to be missing a low end.
Yeah, I'm super. What do you do for your low end? You need a low end. It's like, we have a low end. It's my bass amp and a pedal. Leave me alone.
We're good.
Done.
But I do get super flattered when they ask to like play bass for us, but it's also like, no.
How often do you get other people like asking you guys to add more to your sound?
I think we've had 5 offers.
Wow. Okay.
Which is flattering. It is.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier. Like, as a two-piece, there's so much less. Like, honestly, I can't imagine having 7 people in your band, like, or even like 5, 4 or 5.
Mm.
Like 2, it
Even
seems
one
hard
more.
enough.
3 is,
Yeah. 3's a crowd.
Yep.
Was it a conscious decision from the start to be a two-piece, or did you just end up with it?
I think that was more on Joe's end. He kind of had a vision and hit me up about it and was like, we should, am I right? I kind of make up memories though, so I need to double check.
Don't we all?
Like, I thought the heart sunglasses was my idea, and apparently it wasn't. So.
I don't know. I just think it became a thing. Like, I guess when we first talked about being a band at a show, I was like, let's do this. We'll run you through, we'll split your sound into guitar, bass. I guess I didn't really imagine no bass player, and I wasn't really opposed to it at first, but it just kind of became it was easy to do it with 2 people, and it worked. I thought it sounded pretty good,
Oh, I think it was I remember in the beginning stages, it was does this need a bassist? And thinking about maybe, but then just seeing it was oh, we can make the sound work. The dynamic is a lot of fun, and it's so easy to schedule practices, and him and I are both super busy. So only having to collaborate with one other person, it's all right, we got this.
Yeah. One other schedule is always just best, because there are just too many schedules in a band where you just really can never really get it together. Especially in my experiences, I've usually played with people that are fathers already, or parents, and it's just kind of it's just a hard dynamic to get schedules synced up.
I play in another band. It's a 3-piece, and
too many.
I think we practice once a month if we're lucky, just because of scheduling conflicts.
Right. With your 2 bands, you have the size of a lot of 1 bands.
Yeah, right.
It reflects in your sound though. It's really cool, because listening to your albums, you can't tell. It doesn't feel lacking when I listen to it, which it's a very full sound, which is really cool. Do you think what influences do you guys bring into this band?
I think definitely the Distillers. Just more vocally and melodically. But I think once we started playing in a 2-piece, I started kind of studying other 2-pieces.
Sure.
So the White Stripes, obviously, the Black Keys, Local H from Chicago.
Yep.
There's a French Canadian band called Ponctuation. They're super cool. So kind of taking mental notes and seeing what we know a local band too called Heat Death. So just kind of seeing what they're doing sound wise and sort of studying that. But I think just a lot of like classic punk, rock and roll. So like older rock and roll, like Little Richard and shit like that. Ramones. Just like a lot of staple punk for me on my end. Joe's influences I think are a little bit more eclectic than mine, but
no, I think we both came from like similar like crowds, you know, like the same sort of scenes. That's probably where I can, you know, give most of my like influence from was from like going to small shows and like people's basements and like the local like hole in the wall where people's, you know, DIY spots and stuff. And I think me and Alli sound like I tend to play real busy and loud, and Alli is very, you know, full and with her voice and her guitar. And I just think it fit well enough. I don't know. I didn't want to overcomplicate it.
So so Joe, when we were kind of waiting for you to kind of jump on the call,
what else happened?
Alli mentioned that you were kind of like a powerful musician, the more powerful musician between the two of you. What's like your background with just getting on the drums? Because for someone like me, I've been a guitarist my whole life. Jumping on the drums is definitely a different like feat. So were you always behind the kit, or were you more like multi-instrumentalist?
I started off in the drums. I do want to say like as a like I feel like maybe I have more musical experience than Alli, but like Alli is like I can't do what Alli does. Like Alli's just like I can't be a front person. I would freeze. Yeah, exactly. Hey, sweetie. No, it's bad.
Charisma.
But yeah, right, exactly. But no, I started off on guitar when I was like in middle school, and just learned how to play like AC/DC songs and Blink-182
fucking shreds.
Nice.
But then in high school, I was on the drum line, so I learned how to like hold sticks, and we played kit every now and then. But then once I got into college, in DeKalb, Illinois, there's no drummers. There's like 4. If that would be too much, I think maybe 3.
Yeah, 4 is really high, Joe.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I just kind of adopted it. I initially started playing on a drum machine before we actually got a kit, but I hopped on that and started playing, and then started playing with more people. And that's how that happened.
Drum thrown later.
Yeah, I used to sit on milk crates instead of a drum throne.
Nice.
Which, if you forget a drum throne, 2 milk crates, pretty good.
Or somebody's lap.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, I've been investing a lot more time into drums. Like guitar, I still love playing guitar, and I do play a lot. But drums is a whole different beast. It's so much fun.
Yeah, what have you discovered about yourself as a musician behind the kits, do you think?
Rhythm, like how to fill in gaps more, you know, or being something I'm working on now is how to not be so in the front and be like more of accentuate the rest of the band. Like you're the backbone as like the drummer, and how to let everybody else's parts or Alli's parts shine, you know, and just not always big rock and roll, like big cock, you know, like, but just like keeping it back sometimes or shredding some other times, you know.
And it pains me every time he says that, because I'm like, no, I love that like full, like big, like, yeah, go.
Everybody
I'm like,
wants that.
Slam on the gas. Let's keep it going. He's like, no, I gotta pull it back. I'm like, no, you don't. There's 2 of us. It's fine.
Exhausting.
I'll just turn up. Oh, that too.
There's something I've learned as a drummer too. Like for my like body's sake, I can't play fucking like 100% all the time.
Right.
As much as I used to, maybe.
Sure.
I know. We'll like crank out a couple of bangers at practice, and I'm like, why are you so tired? Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm just like
need more cardio.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He doesn't need any cardio with like the fucking amount of drumming he does at practice. It's all over the place.
We should do like a hit routine, you know, some cycles before practice.
Right.
Get in some push-ups, jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Oh,
you could
we could do
incorporate that into your drumming practice and bouncing back. It could be one of the stations.
We'll mix on the vocal warm-ups at the same time. So it'll be like doing squats while we're going like, but like in a public, it has to be in a public place too.
I think this is a business idea right now. There's some gym waiting to happen. Yeah.
Is this the way that you learn, that you keep your French learning from high school in your later years as well? Is this a really good exercise for that?
What? Doing vocal warm-ups while I do squats?
Doing vocal warm-ups? Yeah. Is that kind of the key behind learning French throughout your life?
Making noises with your mouth? Yes.
You spend 5 minutes every morning like making French throat sounds.
Yeah, no. Actually none of the vocal warm-up sounds are like any noises I really use in French. Because when you speak French, your mouth is like kind of really small, and that's like the opposite of what you want to do when you're singing, because you want your mouth to be like big, and you don't want to like do that in the back of the throat because it's bad for it. Smoking's bad too, and French people love that. So it's kind of like the opposite. It's like French has taught me like what not to do as a singer. But at a real answer to that question, keeping up my French, I travel with people, or I travel and try to be as immersed as I can. I've taught overseas in French-speaking countries, in like North Africa and South America. And so just having that and I played on a French rugby team for a bit. So just like all of those immersion experiences kept that language up. So that's my real answer.
Do you write any music in French?
We did a cover set once before him and I were a band, but we were jamming together, where all the songs were like French, like rock music.
Sure.
I haven't written anything in French. I've written, La Môme on our album is about a French singer named Edith Piaf. So I'm like creeping towards it.
Okay.
But I think that should probably be like my next challenge, because I could literally say whatever I wanted and it wouldn't make a fucking difference. Except for like my two friends that speak French. Yeah. Show up to our shows and they'd be like, what the fuck did you just say?
Right. And then when you blow up in France, then you got to watch what you say too, I suppose.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We already have an open invite to go play on a donkey farm. I can either elaborate on that, or I can just like leave it where it is.
No, I think you just opened the door. Yeah. I mean, you open the door.
Please go on.
Because we've had other interviews, so they're just like, just leave it there. I was like, all right. So when in my travels, I did some farm work, and one of the farms I went to was a donkey farm, and I'm still in contact with the farmers, and they're really sweet. They actually, I think they're going to be ordering shirts soon, so that's a big shipping thing on their cost. But it's like my favorite place to go to in the world. And yeah, they have donkeys, and it's super chill, and they're French as fuck. and they have tours on their farm, and they have like things with the town, and sometimes they'll have bands come. So I'm like, well, you have to let our band play.
Well, of course.
So yeah, they've got a bed and breakfast and stuff that I had to like work at and clean and stuff, because that's what I signed up for. But we should go and be like, oh well, we have to stay in the nice rooms,
of course,
because we're performing, we're artists,
right? So. You need rest.
I will not pick up
the
shit.
Best, right?
They actually, when I was working on the farm, they're like, okay, a news crew is coming in. You need to go up to the bed and breakfast and pretend that you're staying here and that you're like the American coming through. And literally I've got like shit on my shoes and like hay, and I'm like, and they're like, here, take this book, go sit up there, the news is going to come interview you. And I'm like, all right. And so like they're asking me about like, oh, what are you doing here? I'm like, no, I'm just backpacking through France. I'm from the US, blah blah blah. And like one of my friends in France messaged me like 2 days later, she's like, I just saw you on the fucking news. But it was like all a lie. I'm like, no, I'm not, I wasn't staying there. I was actually working there, like hard labor. So I thought that was kind of funny.
That's one way to network.
Yep. This is before the band, of course. So I would have mentioned it on the news, of course, but
right.
I think I remember being shy my first time being on the news.
So, Alli, when did you start playing music or get into music?
I started playing flute when I was in 5th grade. And that I did that all through middle school. At the end of middle school, I picked up guitar. because after I went to like a cast party after a school play where I'd done makeup, and I remember standing in the corner with all the other cool kids playing air guitar for 2 hours. And after that happened, I was like, this is the fucking coolest thing I've ever done. I'm gonna buy a guitar. So I started playing guitar after that, and I was really on and off playing for a long time. And I would always just kind of like sing on my own, and I didn't really know if I was good or not.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got to DeKalb, that music scene that Joe mentioned,
the robust scene.
Yeah. It's a very robust scene. They do a scrambler every once in a while where like all the local musicians will make bands and they'll do a cover set. And so I had a group come together and just getting like, and that was the first time I was singing and playing at the same time too. And Joe actually played drums for that, which was like kind of like the mini birth of Sweetie way back in the day. But just getting feedback from that, people like, oh my God, I love your vocals and blah, blah, blah. And just getting kind of having that little confidence boost was like enough for me to be like, okay, I need to do this forever and ever. And so, yeah, just started kind of forming bands, and none of them really worked out, but the DeKalb scene really helped me like start that cycle of being in the music scene and writing music and working with musicians and kind of finding my stride.
Do you remember?
Definitely a great spot.
Go ahead.
To like, I think get started doing music too, because it was so small. Like, really, like any given show, like everybody would show up. It wasn't like, oh, this band's playing, like I'd rather go do this, because there was no other this.
Yeah, it's like, I could go to a frat party.
Yeah, so it was a great spot for me to like learn how to play music and do it in like a scene, you know, in front of people.
We should make a bingo card of like every musician in DeKalb, and you get to like punch it every time it's like someone you've played with or jammed with.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think ours would be like fucking full.
Yeah.
You play the blackout version.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So as guitar players, for the both of you, what was the first song? Do you remember the first song that you learned on guitar?
Louie.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, nice.
I learned it when I went to it's called the Experience Music Project in Seattle, and they have like little setups where you can like go like learn a song. And so that was the first time like I learned to play anything at all on guitar. Yeah. What about you, Joe? What was your first song?
Mine was probably Smoke on the Water, you know, like the one string version.
Yep. The one. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Hell's Bells by AC/DC.
Yeah.
Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, I feel like.
That seems a little more advanced for a first song.
It's not that, I don't know. I had a friend
this is
who
what
like,
I mean. Joe's so good.
I have this thing where like if I want to,
he's just bragging now.
If I like want to learn how to do something, I'll get like feverishly like into it, and like I think that's helped me as like a musician, like just hours and hours like just practicing the same thing until I get it done. Helpful.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense about you now.
Yeah.
So you're learning about each other now. I'm glad we can bring that to make this happen today.
The more you know.
There's going to be a Louie and Smoke on the Water mashup at the next show. You know,
that'd be cool.
That would be pretty rad.
Yeah,
It'd be something.
Yeah.
My shining
Smoke
light for like guitar. I learned Johnny Be Good over COVID quarantine. And
nice.
If Joe ever hears it like one more time, I think his head's gonna fall off because I play it like.
Yeah, I'm gonna start screaming. I think if I hear it out in like public,
like he's gonna be out in public, and like Louie comes on, and people are gonna be like, "Is that blood?" It's gonna be like, "Oh,
this man needs help."
Oh my god! So is that just a hate for Johnny's, or you just sad that Chuck Berry, wrote that song? What was the hatred behind Johnny Be Good?
I ruined it.
just by playing it.
You have no idea how
it's
often
good. You do play it a lot, but it's like it's good. You like nail it, and it sounds so great. But it's just like one of those songs. No. Like you hear on the radio like 200 times, and it's like I can't.
You're being so nice about this.
Oh my lord!
It's irrational.
I beat it to death, and we both know that, but that's okay. If you want to like feed this illusion to me that like, no, it wasn't you, it was the world, then I'm eating it up. So that's fine.
That's great. That's great.
So is this song in the live set?
No.
No, I don't think so. We'll jam it out. Like we'll play it in practice like a bit, but not the whole thing. I wouldn't mind. Maybe we'll play like 20 seconds of it.
That should be like our like when everything, like our first show back when everything opens up, fucking like slam out with that one. Everyone's like, ah,
Oh yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah,
and then I totally fuck it up, or I'm like, because it'll be our first show back, and I'll be too drunk to play, and just like, because we know that's how it's actually going to happen, which is fine.
Right.
We'll throw Freebird in there too, because I've really honestly always wanted to like when the hecklers start shouting Freebird, actually play the entire song.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody ever does that.
Right. In fact, we're gonna do an extended version. We're gonna just draw out that middle part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lock the doors.
You should always have just like an emergency eagle as well, just to have release into the into the bar.
The emergency
into the
eagle.
theater. That'd be hilarious.
Just keep that around for safety.
Emergency Eagle. I think we should change our band name to that.
That is a good band name.
You can take like the opening riff, Alli, and then I'll like walk off into the back and put on like my falconer glove and like walk out with like an adult bald eagle.
The cap on its head.
Throw like dead mice into the audience.
You should do a Always Sunny and just come out as the birds of war and just like dress as the birds, you know.
So good.
If anything, that's a way to get people talking. I think, once we can all go to shows again, I think, dude, did you see the band? They have an eagle that they just release in the middle of the show.
Yeah,
that's how I heard.
Emergency Eagle?
Yeah, the emergency eagle.
I'm writing that down. I'll give you credit for it if we use it.
Think about it. That's how Ozzy Osbourne got famous, by eating the head off a bat.
That's true. Yeah.
I think was he already famous for that?
Oh, he was. Yeah. But could you imagine doing that on stage right now after the pandemic? People would freak out. Great. That'd be awesome, actually.
Oh, well, yeah, because because that's where they think it came from. It's like
they think, that's what the rumors were at the start. It'd be hilarious.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be such a good publicity stunt. Super gross. Maybe get a fake one.
Oh, yeah, I'll do a fake one just so that you don't get it,
You don't want to start pandemic number 2.
Yeah, I know, but...
So speaking of Sweetie, where did the band name come from?
Came to me in a dream.
Really?
No, I think it just popped into my head one day because I'm constantly like that thing just happened right now. Like Emergency Eagle, that's a band name, and just kind of like
write it down,
getting things around me and writing it down. I think it just popped into my head, and I texted Joe. It's like, what do you think about this? And he was like, I like it, which is totally different than every other band I've ever been in because it takes like 20 tries. What do you guys think about this? No, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. How about these other 20? And they're like, I don't like those either. So it just kind of stuck. So that was good.
That's nice. How about, so you just released an album. You had an album, Bad Thing, Sweet Thing, come out in August. Mm-hmm. How was your approach to that album as a group? So writing as a group or what's your writing process like? I suppose I should ask.
So most of that is Alli. That's all Alli that is like doing the lyric. I just kind of, I'll throw down something. And it kind of worked out really great, like with practicing, because Alli'd be like, I wrote 2 new songs. And then I would just like throw drums over it. And like that's the wonders of a 2-piece too, is there's only 2 parts to it.
I know, and that's like, hey, done. Yeah, we started writing more together lately, which has been a lot of fun doing that, which was actually way harder for me because writing is kind of like a vulnerable thing for me. And so like being vulnerable enough to write with somebody else has been a challenge, but it's been paying off. So that's been fun.
Oh, nice. So what is your creative process, Alli, then to writing then? And you say it's very personal, which I totally agree with you. That's kind of like how I write or how I feel sometimes. But what's your creative process like that and like forming a song then? I
think just like anytime lyrics start to come, just writing them down as soon as I can and like, and not, and constantly writing. So like little ideas, putting it in my phone. But when I start to get like, if I get a line or two, then I'm like, I kind of force it out. even if it's bad. I'm like, this needs to be a full song. So and then later I can like look and take lines and be like, oh, I like that. I'm going to use that later in something.
Sure.
Which has happened before. And so when I'm singing some songs, I'm like, haven't I already said this? It's like, oh, yes, but no. So I think just kind of like having the discipline to like, when I get an idea, to just like get it down right away.
So
yeah, I like that aspect of you kind of like spitting that out, because when I was in poetry class back in college, I mentioned how like I had 3 stanzas, and I said, well, the 3rd stanza I just kind of like forced, and they're like, why would you do that? And I'm like, hey man, even a dog will go back, he'll puke and then go back and eat some of the food out of it later. That was my excuse. And that was, I thought, a great comeback. But I'm glad that somebody else at least finds beauty in just forcing some lines out, because it might work in another song somewhere. So that's really cool that you did that.
Also, it's punk music, so like no one's really checking us on our lyrics all that often.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like that's like you can wait around for like that inspiration. Like I've dabbled. I have one song that I do.
And it's a fucking banger.
I had to like carve it. Like the frustration like with writing is so hard. And it's sometimes you can just sit down and write something. You have a good idea. But I feel like honestly, like 70% of it is like, even if it's garbage, just like write it down, scrap like half of it, use one line from it, start something else. Like that's just like do the work. If you don't like it, you don't like it, but at least you tried.
Right. That's a great point too, because that's really just in life, part of that process of you have to do it to get better at it. And, you know, rather than trying to come up with the perfect line, get those lines or get those riffs or get whatever, you know, even not even music related, just do it so then you can move on and get the next thing and, you know, pull what you've done in the past to move forward with it.
This podcast is being sponsored by Nike. Just do it.
Just do it.
No, I appreciate that, you know, because it's like some people, I know a couple people have told me like they never have a bad day in life. And I'm just kind of like, well, fuck you. You have bad
boring.
days. How else do you know? How else do you know what the good days are? So it's like you have to have bad writing to understand what your good writing is.
Yeah,
it's the same exact philosophy that we're talking about here. And it's like, yeah, I would much rather have a lot of bad writing so that I can focus on what is really good. You know,
absolutely.
So sometimes every once in a while I'll hear like a song or like something that's been released. And I think it's really important for everyone to, if you're going to create something and release it, like do it. But this is going to sound like really, I don't know what a word for it. I didn't really fully appreciate my lyric writing until I kind of swam around a bit and looked at some other stuff that people are releasing. And like, I think it's like good and wonderful, but it's like, oh, I just kind of like, oh man, that sounds like such a, like so dickish, but I don't know. It kind of helped me like appreciate, it's like, oh, this song's actually really good. Like, kind of, or at least I like it, or I know that it's like, oh, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like if I'm writing music that I actually like and like I can go back and be really proud of it, and find merit in it, that was kind of like a new thing for me. Like, oh, this is good. So let's cut that out. I'm just kidding.
No, totally. No, that was perfect. That's awesome. You know?
Yeah. Well, actually, I like your point, because I think you got to be a fan of your own work. You know, if you don't like your own stuff, why would you even want to put it out at all? Not that you have to be your best fan or your biggest fan, but you know, I think when you can put something out there that you're like, oh yeah, this is kind of good. Like that's got to feel good.
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely.
So are you, when it comes to writing, then it sounds like your lyrics first and then you add the music after that?
Almost always.
Okay.
We did one song that's called I'm Giving Up on You. Joe wrote the guitar for that, and it kind of like rattled around in my brain for a couple weeks. And then I think we were like in the middle of practice. I was like, oh, it's time. It's here. The baby's here. And so we started just playing it. And then I ad-libbed the lyrics, which I'd never done before. And it turned out really good. And then it's like, oh, Joe, we have to harmonize this part. So we added harmonies, and yeah, it turned out good. But almost always Well, and I've noticed if I write lyrics without like a rhythm or some general melody, while I'm writing it, it's like, oh, that's it's words on paper. Like I can't use it.
Yeah.
You know, I can pick from it later, but you know, I'll try to put music to it and it's like, nah, it's not working. So I kind of have to have like a rhythm and like beats to it. It has to have song structure, but not necessarily like a fully formed melody, but somewhat. And then guitar comes after.
Yeah.
I think it works out really well with this, you know, working together as of lately with music, because I'm the opposite. Like I can hear a song or where I want it to go, like the drums, the guitar, all of that, before I have any idea what it's about, like any lyrics, anything I want to like put on the top. And so Alli can just like sprinkle it on top, you know?
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
I know. Once we really get like honed in with that, like Joe coming up with like guitar and me throwing on some lyrics, I think like it's going to be like the rings coming together. like
yeah.
So we're working towards that. So it's going to happen. It like happens sometimes. We're getting sparks, but like we're just got to lock it in with writing, which we will.
So you think there's still room to grow and places to go?
Much.
Yeah,
for sure.
We probably just like need to drop acid together and like.
Is that a invitation for all of us to come?
Absolutely.
That sounds fun right now, actually.
Bring your grandma.
We did form a new band earlier, so I mean, obviously it's happened.
Yeah, Auntie Acid all of a sudden is the band. You know?
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Triple A, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So what music are you guys listening to right now? What bands are you into?
I just listened to a new Idols album a little bit today.
Okay.
They're pretty great. It's just like snotty, like, but it's. I think they're great. They're like just really loud and like full of energy, but they're great. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Thundercat, the new Thundercat album I listened to recently. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Those are two for me. I'm really just like all over the place, really trying to. Some Ministry I listened to recently.
Okay.
Really all over the place.
Yeah, I just found this band yesterday called Shilpa Ray.
Okay.
I think it's just a single female musician, but that was really good. Also, one of my students today just showed me like his music, and he does like rap and hip hop. And the only reason I know is because like I can see their screens while they're working, and I saw that he had like his musician like statistics pulled up, and I was like,
yeah.
Your song, like your music has 17,000 views. He's like, yeah. I was like, how'd you do that? So I was like, what's it called? I want to look it up. And so I looked it up and listened to a little bit of it. It's pretty solid. But I was looking through the album covers and I wanted to bring it up. Like, oh, cool, you're releasing singles and stuff. But then one of the singles had like a pile of money and like a huge pile of cocaine. So I'm like, I'm not going to ask him about that. That's going to get like a whole weird thing. I'm just going to let him do his thing. Like maybe when he graduates, we can talk about it, but like not going to touch that. So like, that was good.
Damn.
Did he give you some insight on how he got 17,000 plays or views?
No,
I mean, did you give him an A just in case, like kind of entice him?
Oh, no, he's not.
Je suis, get an A?
Oh, this isn't with French. I teach a separate class that's like credit recovery. So kids that have like failed classes are like making them up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So those are like the coolest kids, the ones that I like the most. But yeah, I can't do any incentive. It's just like, please make up this class online or else. So I don't have much.
You'll see me next month, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to get super annoying.
I've actually been like revisiting a lot of old like emo stuff with my gal pal.
Nice.
Yeah, like some like Cartel and like My Chemical Romance. And it was like, I feel like a lot of that stuff like that is like a really big influence me when I like just started getting into music, and like coming back to it is like, it kind of hits home.
Was that your coming of age music?
I think so. Like My Chemical Romance and like stuff like that. Like, I think that really pushed me. Like, especially as a guitarist, like the way Ray Toro and like Frankie Euro write their guitar parts, I was like really, really into at the time, I remember.
Yeah, it's funny how there's always like those one or two things that they stick with you forever.
For sure. Like what at the time was like, you think was really neat, kind of guide you along some long path of like, leads you somewhere else. But when you go back to like that route,
right,
you know, it's like a starting point.
Yeah, it's like a family tree. I noticed that a lot with what I listen to or how I play. You can trace that back. It's like, oh, this person sounds like this person, then this thing. It's like, oh, that's where it came from. I get it.
That happened with me with I think AFI is the reason I got into punk at all, because when I got into them, it was like 2001 when Sing the Sorrow was out, and you just keep working backwards, and they make a lot of references to like bands that are super iconic for me now, like the Cramps and the Misfits and Tiger Army, and like kind of foundational music for me. So yeah. Oh yeah, Joe and I think we had band practice on Halloween, right? Or was it near Halloween?
Yeah, it was near Halloween, I think.
And we covered the Misfits cover that AFI does of Halloween. But I had like heard that song so many times when I was, 13, 14, 15, that it was like, it took 2 seconds for me to remember the guitar, half a second to remember all the words. And it was like, Joe, let's go. And we just played it straight through, like no hiccups at all. It was just like, oh,
yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and I've never played it with a band. I just know it, like playing it on my own. It's like, oh shit, there it is. In my subconscious.
It's so wild how it just comes back to you like that.
I know. That's a great feeling. You know?
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, I found Davey Havoc again. It's been inside me this whole time.
Would you say that's been like your primary influence then? So, that kind of music, that's coming of age music, so to speak, has that kind of been the genre that's influenced you going forward, or both of you?
I wouldn't say as like the main influence. I mean, as far as like starting off in music, like that was the launch pad. I think that like at the time I was like, this is really cool. And like, I like what they're doing. I want to like do that. But I've just like accumulated so many influences now. I couldn't even tell you like a main influence.
Sure.
But just like a culmination of everything. Like there are some things like with like a My Chemical Romance album, like the drum parts on it, I can like hear myself playing, which is really weird. But like that in like 10 plus years of like going to shows and listening to everything, it's all like come into that, It's evolved quite a bit, I think.
I need to get better at listening to music. I feel like I don't. I just like watch
TV. It's time consuming.
Yeah, no. And so is fucking watching Netflix for 8 hours. So like I need to just like turn my TV off for 2 seconds. It's like, oh, they have the Monster Mash in this episode of Sabrina. Cool.
It's a lot easier though to watch TV or something, because if you want to commit yourself to an album and only an album, it's harder than you think.
I think Joe has Joe came over last week, I think it was, and this is going to sound so fucking pretentious, but we listened to records. But while we listened to records, we watched old Georges Méliès like silent films as they played along. And so just trying to, and like, then we just moved on to other silent films and like, oh, what record do you think would go good with this? And so kind of mixing those mediums. And it sounds like so snooty that we did that, but it was so much fun.
Yeah. Did you talk down about everyone else that walked by in the street then as you were doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. But it was mostly just my neighbors in the parking lot. Like,
hey, we're watching silent films.
Stay silent.
Know anything about it?
Yeah. The key is to let them know that you're doing that.
Yeah, if they don't ask.
They know. Actually, you can see my TV from outside, so maybe.
It's silent either way when you're outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Same effect.
So do you guys have a musical vision for the future? Kind of like what you guys want to do? Are you guys going to try to stay with this formula? Or are you guys just going to go with the flow of songwriting? Or is there like a vision that you guys want to aim for, a goal of music that you just want to be like, oh, this is what we deem success, or this is what we deem of happiness in music?
I just decided recently I have my musical goal. Joe, are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I haven't heard of it. It's
Okay,
exclusive.
This is breaking news in this band.
Yeah.
I was watching videos of Amyl and the Sniffers. They're bangers. They're from Australia. The lead singer's a girl, and she's like all over the place, and all the other guys have like mullets, and they're really gross. But they're fucking phenomenal. But the video was, Joe, get ready for this. They were playing a festival in California, and John Waters was like emceeing for them to come on.
Wow.
I was like, that's what, okay, that's my goal. That's what, like,
cool.
I think that's what I need to strive for.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah. What about you, Joe?
I don't know. I kind of want to make it very fluid. Like, I don't necessarily have any goals for it. Like, I think I feel really good about it and playing in Sweetie and the songs that we write, and it feels really good. And I just want to keep writing and see what we can maybe try this. Let's try this, and tweak it here and there. There's no necessarily an end goal where I'd like to go. I just want to see how it like can evolve with what we have, you know? Yeah.
And I'm on board.
Yeah, we'll hit up John Waters.
Fucking A, we will.
Also,
Joe, you got to come over and watch Female Trouble with me, because that's the ultimate Christmas movie.
Is it? Not Die
that's
Hard?
The one where like, I want cha-cha heels for Christmas, black ones. Like, nice girls don't
I've
wear
seen
cha-cha
half
heels.
of that one. Into it. I'm into it.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, definitely need to watch it.
What was it called again?
Female Trouble. The main
Female
person.
Trouble. Okay.
Yeah, Female Trouble. The lead person is a drag queen named Divine, and she's horrifying.
Nice. So
yeah, she's like Godzilla in the best way.
From 1974?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
nice. I just found it.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely watch the Christmas scene where she like knocks over the tree on her mom, and they're like,
That's
"Not
wonderful.
on Christmas," because they don't get her cha-cha heels. Spoiler. And it's like her and her friends in Baltimore like smoking in the bathroom, and they've got this big hair. They're like, "School's stupid." I'm like, yes. Which is even better because like as a teacher, I'm so like I'm like, I love that. That's so great.
it sounds like you two have a pretty good friendship. Were you friends before the band? Which one came first?
Definitely. Like I think we were pretty good. Right? We hung out a couple times. I remember we'd go on jogs every now and then.
Yeah. We'd go on jogs. We'd like chill sometimes. We had mutual friends. I think we were like, we were friends, but we weren't like pals. I think now we're like,
Yeah.
pals.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Pals.
Yeah.
But for sure. So like playing in a band kind of came easy. It was just like a conversation like, hey, let's try this? Want to do this sometime? Yeah, sure. And it just kind of evolved from there.
For sure.
One
Yeah,
thing
it's not necessarily a business. It's not business,
Right.
but it's actually like, it's a actual like commune where like, hey, let's just get together music because it sounds great, you know.
Uh-huh.
Right, exactly.
I've noticed like I need to, because it's so easy for me to like call Joe and like only talk about band stuff, or like when we hang out, it's like only band stuff, but like kind of having like reminding myself to sort of nurture the friendship and be like, oh yeah, we should just like chill and not do band stuff every once in a while, or like talk and just not talk about band stuff every once in a while. Because it's so easy for me to do that too, and like let it be all consuming.
Right.
So I have to like remind myself every once in a while.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be so weird making music. Like any of the music projects I've been in was with friends, and like I don't know, you know, like some people do it for business and they'll hire, you know, we're gonna get a new guitarist for this tour and stuff, which is cool. But I would just it would feel so weird, you know, not to have everybody like contributing and like mostly based around like that friendship and like as a extension of like our friendship and the things that we like, you know, everybody contributing.
Yep.
I'm on board.
Yeah. So what are you guys planning for the future with this tour? Like, what are you hoping to do with touring in a, what's the P word? Pandemic, I guess. But What do you guys' feelings on playing and performing in this time period, and what are you guys hoping to do in the 2021 actually with touring, as you just mentioned?
Touring?
Yeah, we're not going to go on any tours anytime soon. Nah, but we'd like to in the future.
Yeah.
Once everything is cool. We were planning on going on a tour right when everything got shut down.
It's shut down.
Yeah, like the week.
We were gonna come to Minnesota. We were gonna play.
Dude.
Yeah, Gully Boys. I'm friends with the lead singer Gully Boys, and they hooked us up with a gig at the Kitty Cat Club.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Seen a few there.
Place. I love that place.
Yeah, it looked super cool. I really wanted to play.
It's a cool place.
We had to cancel.
Yeah, the Gully Boys are playing New Year's Eve at one of my old watering holes in Minneapolis, which was Mortimer's Bar in kind of uptown, but just in the Whittier neighborhood. So, but the Gully Boys are playing a live streaming show on
cool.
Like New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I saw that. I feel so cool saying I know them, but so it's my boyfriend's brother is dating the lead singer, Katie. And so we've had like Christmas and shit together. We like talk online and Instagram and shit. And so I'm like, oh, I'm friends with the lead singer, Gully Boys, whatever. But yeah, I love them. I love them so much.
Minneapolis has such a great scene for music. Like I didn't really know much about it, but we'd have like a bunch of bands come out to DeKalb, to the local space. Like New Primals, I think, came out from Minneapolis.
Oh, I love them.
They're crazy. I haven't seen them live. A handful of other bands too, but Dirty Junk used to keep up with, and they would post a bunch of local shows happening. It's a rad scene over there.
Mm-hmm.
Another two-piece.
Mm-hmm,
so we'll make it. We'll make it out there someday.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about. We have a friend band in Vegas, and one of our other friend bands here wants to do like a mini tour out to Vegas and like play maybe in Vegas and then go to California because we know of like some stops over there. So maybe do some sort of like trip that way. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, you guys got space in my basement. I got a huge stage. We can rock out. Definitely fits 2.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Because we've been places that don't, so that's good.
Oh really? Oh, I bet.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the worst. But if you guys ever checked out Buffalo Fuzz? That's a friend of the podcast, Jared and Jake, and they were a 2-piece, but they were a pretty good heavy blues rock band.
Oh yeah,
they're a 2-piece. Yeah,
cool.
Very good. Check them out from Minneapolis. They're very good.
Very cool.
Well.
Maybe we'll try to set up like a 2-piece show in Minneapolis. I've always wanted to do a 2-piece fest. That would be neat.
That would be kind of.
And then everyone's gonna be like, "Can we borrow drums? Does anyone want to play drums?"
Yeah.
What'd you say they were called? Buffalo Exchange.
Buffalo Fuzz.
Buffalo
Exchange. Buffalo Exchange is the. What is it? What do you call that, Ben? It's just like a thrift store for clothes, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, is that them?
But cool. Buffalo Fuzz.
Cool.
Fuzz.
Jared Zachary.
Yeah.
Cool.
Jared, if you're listening, hello.
Yeah, what's up, Jared?
Hello
Jared.
from the past.
We're actually speaking to the future.
Oh, wow. I know in COVID times, that's like so nerve-wracking. Like, what's going to...
It's no longer just like what's going to happen the next day. It's like, oh my gosh, what's happening in the next 20 minutes?
The apocalypse
Am I going to the
happened.
hardware store?
Yeah. The apocalypse has happened and your podcast is like playing on like an abandoned Bluetooth speaker next to like a bunch of rubble and fire. And then I said,
That's bleak.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine you're sitting there with your son and you're going, he's got like one eye and you go, hey son, that was me on the radio,
Yeah.
The before times.
like,
So
what's radio?
Is there anything else that you want anyone who might be listening to know about your band?
We're on the Chicago Music Guide's top song or best song of 2020. We're in like the top 10 for that right now. Voting.
Yeah.
So if people want to go on their site and vote, chicagomusicguide.com. Change the Rotation just put us on their list for best album of 2020. And so they're doing like a March Madness March Madness bracket with all of those bands.
There we go.
Yeah. Joe, anything else? We're writing
Frisky
music
Morris.
Yes.
Is putting out our CD for pre-order right now. You know more details about that than me, maybe?
Yeah. So I have no idea how much it costs. I assume it's reasonable.
So we know nothing about it.
Oh yeah. And someone asked me, they're like, "Are you getting a cut of that?" I was like,
I hope so.
I hope so. I probably should. Probably. But yeah, it's on the Frisky Morris and Friends Bandcamp, and Frisky is spelled Friskie. So the Frisky Morris and Friends Bandcamp, and you'll be able to buy our album Bad Thing Sweet Thing as a physical copy. And so I'm excited. And the artwork on it is a lot of fun. So it's definitely worth buying a copy. Also, just worth mentioning, if you want to look us up on Spotify, you have to search our album name, Bad Thing Sweet Thing, just because Sweetie, there are a couple other options and ours doesn't come up. So definitely look up the album Bad Thing Sweet Thing on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, buy a copy. And we have shirts on our link tree. So
yeah, I'm a fan of this album. Danny Boy, I love that song. That's a great song.
Thank you.
Yeah, such a fun one. I've been rocking out to that one today quite a bit.
That's
excellent.
great.
Every time we have a couple of friends named Danny that'll show up to shows, and every time I play that song, I'm like, "This isn't about you," except for when it was our friend Danny's birthday, and I was like, "Danny, this is about you today," and I played, and I made unbreaking eye contact with him the entire time I sang it, and I sang it right to him.
Nice.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
No way.
So
I love that.
One final question, at least from me, Jesse, if you have anything else, feel free to ask. But I'd like to know if, and this is for both of you, if you could see any band or artist, living or dead, from any era, who would it be and why?
Joe, you got it? I got one.
I really want to see Lightning Bolt live. It's a 2-piece. You should check them. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like noise rock. The drummer wears like
crazy.
A mask that has like a microphone in it, and he's and like crazy. What? It's wild. Or My Bloody Valentine, I think would be cool. I love Kevin Shields. He's crazy man. Those are my two.
Nice. I think I'd say the Cramps. Or like the Stooges way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That would have been wild.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah. Like back when Iggy Pop was like had bangs and had a dog collar.
Yeah.
That shit.
No doubt. Anytime you can see a band in their prime like that, just that's what it's all about.
You're gonna lose your hearing, but worth
it.
Yeah. I think like being at like CBGB's like during its like heyday would be like that would be wild.
The Ramones would have been good too.
Yeah,
I'd like to see the
absolutely.
Ramones.
Yep.
Yeah, like I know a friend of mine. His name is Dick Champ. He used to actually play in
his name is what?
New
I'm
York
sorry.
punk scene. Dick Champ.
Wow.
Fucking A it is.
Fucking right. Dick Champ.
Dick Champ.
I wish my name was Dick Champ.
Anyways.
Right. No shit. I know. And,
could be
he was
band
a great
name.
punk guitarist, and so he used to play with like, the Ramones, Blondie out in New York and stuff. So he used to hang around in that crowd, but his band was called The Scene Is Now.
Okay.
And a couple good tunes off of them. They played pretty well, but they were part of that scene where it's like, those people were nuts, he was saying. He was like,
I believe it.
Party.
I believe it.
Party time.
Absolutely.
I bet.
Yeah. All right. Ben, do we have anything else we want to discuss with Sweetie?
I think I got the information that I need.
Joe, do you want to give your social security number?
It's 666-69-420.
Oh, that's lucky draw on that. That's pretty good.
I think I missed a number.
All I heard was 420, and I'm happy to light it up. No, well, Sweetie, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Allie, Joe, you guys have been great tonight. Folks, I think we're seeing that needle lift off the record, and we'll be joining you next week. Ben, you want to do a couple of social media?
We'll do it all later. Don't even worry about it.
We'll do that post-production.
Do it in post.
So fuck it, we'll do it in post.
Yeah, we'll do it in post-production. But, folks, we enjoyed all of our time here with you, and, come on and listen to us next week.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.